Hello, everybody, and welcome to That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. I am Bill, and, well, nobody's joining me this week. Fro is under the weather, so he just said to me, Bill, go on with the show, go and record, and he's, like I said, he's under the weather, but I know Fro's listening to this, so Fro, get better. Be talking to you real soon. This week on the program, going to be reviewing WWE Payback for those of you that actually remember the pay-per-view happening, because I don't think a lot of people remembered that show happened. Plus, going to preview All Out, which is this Saturday night. Hell of a card. I'm going to be honest with you. This is one of the best looking cards I've seen in a long time as a wrestling fan. I can't wait to see this show. And I am going to talk about my one complaint about the Iron Man matches we've had the last 2 weeks on TV. And I think you'll understand why I'm making these complaints. They're not too far-fetched, they're not crazy, but I do have a complaint. But talk about that a little bit later on. But, as always, let's get into the news, and we have some sad news to report. As a matter of fact, this needs to be played to get the idea of this. Ladies and gentlemen, it was reported earlier this week that the Big Show has been canceled. So yes, the Big Show was officially canceled this week on Netflix. However, there is one episode left that has not aired, and that is their Christmas-themed episode. And that will air in December. So right around for the holidays, if you want one more good taste of the Big Show, you will get it during the holiday season in December. It was a short season. It was only 8 episodes. And I've watched the first 3. And I'm going to stick to what I had said originally a while back about this show, which is, it's not the worst show in the world. It's really not. It's a TGIF show for the millennials, for 2020. That's how I looked at it, and that's how my sister actually looked at it, because she and her kids watched the show. My oldest nephew actually liked the show, and he is not a wrestling fan. I mean, you probably see him on my YouTube videos when we do the, wrestling crates a few times a month. He's not a wrestling fan, but he enjoyed the Big Show. So that was a little cool and a little weird at the same time. But yeah, Big Show's canceled. That's the way TV goes. Unfortunately, you can have a season and you can have some people liking it, and then it just doesn't get renewed. The fortunate thing that I can say about the show, or the Big Show, is that the entire season went. It was on Netflix, so you knew you were going to get all the episodes of the first season. If it had been on a network like Fox or ABC or NBC or CBS, that show's probably canceled after the first 4 weeks. So, at least at least the Big Show was able to go through its entire first season. So we had a couple of people leave WWE. One was because of contracts, and the other was a bit of a surprise. So let's talk about the one that was a bit of a surprise, which was Mauro Ranallo leaving WWE. It was announced during the week that WWE and Mauro Ranallo mutually agreed to Mauro leaving the company. He had been there for the most part of about 5 years. Started off on SmackDown and then ended up going to NXT and was the commentator there for so many of their takeover events. I have always been a fan of Mauro Ranallo. I think he is not only one of the great wrestling announcers, but also one of the best sports announcers that we have going on today. If you look at it, Mauro Ranallo, you know, if you've seen the documentary, you know his story. The man is just incredible. An incredible person, unbelievable backstory. Made it to WWE. His call of AJ Styles and John Cena from the Royal Rumble 2017 is one of my all-time favorite calls of a wrestling match ever. And that match is so good. And part of it is because of Mauro Ranallo. That's how good he is. And then you talk about all the NXTs that he did for the last 2-3 years. New Orleans is a perfect example of how good he could be. Anytime in New York, he was really good. Mauro is such an incredible talent. He's so good behind the mic, on commentary. You could have put him with a broomstick, and you would have had an amazing show because Mauro was doing commentary with a broomstick, and he would have made the broomstick go over. I really think that's how good Mauro Ranallo is. He is, to me, and maybe I'm being a little bit biased. I don't really care, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think Mauro Ranallo, when his career is over, is going to be looked back as one of the greatest wrestling commentators of all time. I think he is at or near the top tier of wrestling commentators. And, you know, you go through so many, your Gordon Solys, your Jim Rosses, your Lance Russells, Gorilla Monsoons, Joey Styles. You know, you could put so many individuals in that top tier. I could make a very good argument for Mauro Ranallo being at the top tier because he's done commentary for New Japan Pro Wrestling back when they started on Access TV, and my God, he was incredible then. Did commentary for SmackDown, did commentary on NXT, was very consistent in his work. The one thing as a fan that I wished that he had the opportunity to do was commentate a match at WrestleMania. Not the pre-show, I mean the actual show. Because if Mauro Ranallo had commentated a World Championship match at a WrestleMania, that audio track would be playing for the next 30 plus years. That's how good he was. And, you know, I understand he's got family stuff going on, which I'm not going to dive into because it's really none of our business. But he's putting his family first, which I totally respect him for, and I wish a lot of people would do that, put their families first. You know, it's not the end of him. We're going to see him again. He's still doing boxing for Showtime. I don't think he's done with wrestling. I really don't. I think we're going to see him again. Either, you know, I don't want to start any speculations, but, let's just say maybe if he goes to AEW, or maybe he goes to the NWA, maybe he goes to New Japan. He could be very good in New Japan. There's so many places he could go. He's that good of a talent. He's so good that, anywhere he goes, he will fit right in. And I think he'll be pretty good. I really do. He really is a voice of a generation, and, like I said, he's going to still be on. He's going to do boxing on Showtime. Boxing and Showtime, they got a nice deal going there, so it's definitely not the end of Mauro. We'll see him again, folks. We will see him again. I also want to talk about Brock Lesnar. Did not renew his contract, so he is currently a free agent, and you can imagine the speculations of, he's going to go to AEW, he's going to go to UFC. Well, let's hold on that for a minute. Because we don't know what he's going to do. I mean, the guy's in his 40s right now. He's not a fresh spring chicken. He's not what he was 10 years ago. Could his career be over? It might be. You never know. I'm not going to say it is, but you never know. Could he come back to WWE? I don't know. It would depend on the price. I really do. I think the same with AEW. I think if they gave him the right price, Brock would be on AEW, and I don't even know if I'd really want that or not. Right now, Brock lives in Canada, and there's that whole big restrictive, you can't go into Canada and you can't go into US. So I'm not really sure we're going to see Brock for a while on TV. But when he does decide to come back, whenever it is, if he does, we'll find out for sure where he's going, and we might even know for how much he's going. But my bet is we have not seen the last of Brock Lesnar either. I think he'll be back. Maybe not this year, because there aren't that many events left in 2020. We'll probably see him in 2021. But as far as this year goes, I think Brock's done. I think he's checked out for the year. We'll see him again in the new year. So, just have to wait and see. Okay, I want to talk about one of the more funnier, weirder stories that I've seen in quite some time. And I really don't know how many wrestling podcasts are going to talk about this, but this podcast will be talking about this story right here, right now. So, this all happened. This whole story happened within a week. So, Paul Roma, yes, that Paul Roma, who says he's the greatest member of the Four Horsemen, says that Ric Flair was terrible. He and Mario Mancini, who used to wrestle on Superstars and Challenge as enhancement talent, they run a wrestling school in Connecticut called, and they also run a promotion called Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling. So, on the 28th of August, they got a cease and desist letter from the city of East Haven, Connecticut. Why did they get a cease and desist letter, you're wondering? Well, because the town thought they were in violation of a local zoning law that lists wrestling studios under adult entertainment, otherwise known as pornography. Yep, that's right. the town of East Haven thought that wrestling studios are pornography places. The verbiage of the local zoning law was designed to prohibit massage parlors that could double as places of prostitution or studios that could potentially house the filming of pornography in some form, which again would not be what professional wrestling is. Well, I could tell you guys that the cease and desist letter, or the order, has been lifted. It has been dropped. According to PWInsider.com, the mayor of East Haven, Joseph Maturo Jr., stepped in upon learning of the situation and helped settle the issue. The belief is that the original cease and desist may have come from, believe it or not, someone misunderstanding what professional wrestling was and were told the ordinance used to back the cease and desist will be adjusted so such a thing could not happen in the future. Only Paul Roma. This can only happen to Paul freaking Roma. I mean... I mean, Paul, I'm going to be honest. Paul Roma was a talented guy. He was a good wrestler. I mean, him and Hercules and Power and Glory, like, you watch that stuff, it's really good. Especially the Powerplex, which FTR uses as one of their moves. Oh my god, the Powerplex is so freaking awesome. I actually, the other day, watched on YouTube what I believe to be, I'm not going to confirm it, I'm just going to say what I believe to be the first tag match that Paul Roma and Hercules ever had together against the team of the Brooklyn Brawler and Black Bart. Yeah, that's quite a tag team right there. Black Bart and the Brooklyn Brawler. Boy, you just got so many bees there that you're just going to put the spit out with all the bees for the Brooklyn Brawler and Black Bart. Suffering fuckatash. But no, Paul, you know, like, if you watch some of that stuff, like, maybe from, like, 88 to 91, Roma's not that bad in the ring. He's actually a pretty good wrestler. Is he world championship material? No. But he's decent enough. He's passable enough. I mean, and then of course he ends up in the Horsemen, and you know, he claims to be the greatest member of the Horsemen ever. And then he had that good tag team with Paul Orndorff. Pretty wonderful. That was a good tag team. But no, this cease and desist letter, like, I saw that and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And then it later comes out that, these guys made a mistake. They're a bunch of morons. But no, I'm glad to hear that got all taken care of. I'm very glad to hear that. Let's talk about wrestling that is coming back. Ring of Honor, we told you guys a while back, they are making their return. We told you guys about their bubble, and not this weekend, but next weekend will be the first airing of new Ring of Honor content in 6+ months. And what they're going to do over the course of the next 8 weeks is they are going to have on their show each match of the tournament to crown a brand new Ring of Honor Pure Wrestling champion. This was something that we had talked about earlier in the year. They were building up this tournament, and then the pandemic happened, and Ring of Honor, being very smart, shut down, didn't do anything, everybody got paid, and they, a few weeks ago, said, we're going to bring everything back, we're going to do this in a bubble, and they decided that they are going to do this tournament. They're going to do the tournament that they had originally planned all along, and it will play over 8 weeks to see a crowning of a new Ring of Honor Pure champion. The The first match, now how they're announcing this is very interesting. The bracket will be revealed this coming Monday on ROH Week by Week on YouTube at 1 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to get the entire bracket this coming Monday. They did announce, however, the first match of the tournament. So the first match of the tournament is Matt Sydal against Delirious. Okay, that should be a pretty good match. Your other competitors in the tournament include Jay Lethal, Dalton Castle, Jonathan Gresham, Tracy Williams, Kenny King, Silas Young, David Finlay, Rocky Romero, PJ Black, Josh Woods, Fred Yehai, Tony Deppen, Wheeler Yuta, and Rust Taylor. Now, we do have the format for the tournament, the rules of the tournament. It is 2 blocks. It is a single elimination tournament. All first round matches are 15 minutes. The block semifinals are 20 minutes. The block finals are 30 minutes. And the finals of the tournament will be a 1 hour time limit. There will be 3 judges for each match. And if they go to the time limit draw, it will go to a judge's decision. So, to refresh everyone on what the code of honor or what the rules of pure wrestling matches are, every match will begin and end with the code of honor handshake. Each wrestler will have 3 rope breaks to stop submission holds and pinfalls. After a wrestler exhausts his rope breaks, submission and pin attempts on or under the ropes by his opponent are legal. Closed fist punches to the face are not permitted. Only open hand slaps or chops to the face are allowed. Punches to other parts of the body are permitted, excluding low blows. The first use of a closed fist will get a warning. The second will be a disqualification. Now that's actually a change from when they started this in 2004, because like if you did it the second time, you would lose a rope break. So I'm actually okay with them being, you do it a second time, you get disqualified. There will be a 20 count when a wrestler is on the floor. Outside interference will result in automatic termination from the roster for the wrestler that interferes. And once a pure champion is crowned, the title can change hands on a disqualification and a countout. So that's going to be a very interesting tournament. I can't wait to see what the brackets are to go from there. It's going to be very, very interesting. I'm looking forward to that. Should be a lot of fun. Now, speaking of looking forward to, Major League Wrestling, they have announced that they are coming back. We have some details on that, so let's go to it. They are calling this Inside the Restart, or the Restart actually is what they're calling it. And what they have decided to do, and this is very interesting, is the tapings are going to start in October. The location has not been announced. Not really sure if it's going to be in a city. I've heard a rumor that they might do it on an island, sort of kind of like UFC, but probably not in like Abu Dhabi like UFC did. But that should be very interesting. They're going to tape stuff in October, and then they're going to air it in November. And then this is where it gets a little bit interesting, because Mike Johnson got some inside information on this. So, the show, when it begins, or when it comes back up, it's not going to air on beIN Sport, or at least when it starts back up. The plan is, for new episodes to debut on a prime time slot during the week. Day has not yet been confirmed. And it will debut first on the Fubo Sports Network, which is available for free across a number of platforms and devices, including their own streaming service, Fubo TV, and Pluto TV. Major League Wrestling will remain on beIN Sports, but that broadcast will effectively be a replay of the episode that debuts on Fubo. Major League Wrestling will also be moving forward with original content and specials for the DAZN streaming service. DAZN will be adding what we are told is a significant amount of Major League Wrestling's library to the service as well. So, we all these reports over the months, they signed different streaming services. Now we know why they're using them. So the first time a new Major League Wrestling episode airs, it's going to be on Fubo TV. And then it'll go to beIN Sport, Pluto TV, DAZN, Major League Wrestling. They're really preparing themselves for a lot of things. And if you haven't watched their YouTube channel, they've been putting out some stuff the last few weeks. It's been very good, very interesting. It is worth checking out. Go out of your way to check out Major League Wrestling, and on YouTube. Go check it out on YouTube. It is very, very good stuff. I really enjoy watching it. Also coming back up real soon is NWA and United Wrestling Network. They're going to have their Prime. They're going to have their show live every Tuesday night on pay-per-view, Fight TV, and on cable pay-per-view as well. If you do Fight, they did come out yesterday with their prices for the weekly and actually the month if you do that. So if you do, let's say you're not going to watch all the episodes, but you want to watch at least the first one, which is coming up on the 15th of September. Go to Fight.tv. You only pay $7 an episode for that. That is quite a deal. $7 for 90 minutes of wrestling live each week. That's a good deal. Now, let's say, all right, I really like the show. I want to see more of it. Well, they have quite a good deal. If you get the bundle, you only pay for the month $23.99. You're basically paying $24 a month for this new show. Now, if you do it the traditional way over your cable box, it is $12 weekly. So, if you want to watch one episode, I would suggest at least watch the first episode. At least the first episode. You could watch it on Fight TV. You could watch it on, your cable. Doesn't matter. The headlining match for that first show, Nick Aldis to defend the NWA World Heavyweight title against Mike Bennett. That's going to be a very interesting... I believe that's a first-time match anywhere between those two. So that should be pretty good. Thunder Rosa, the NWA Women's Champion, who will be brought up again a little bit later on as I preview All Out. She's going to be on the show. The West Coast Pro Championship, Alexander Hammerstone. Alexander Hamilton. Oh my God, that would be awesome. Alexander Hammerstone against EJ Sparks. Chris Dickinson, Static, and many, many more will appear on that debut show. That is Tuesday, September the 15th, 9 p.m. Eastern. $7 on Fight TV, $12 if you do it on a regular pay-per-view, and if you like it and decide to do the bundle, $24 for the month. That's a pretty good deal. Okay, I want to talk about, because the last 2 weeks, we've had an Iron Man match. This not the Tuesday we had this week, but the one before that. Impact had their first ever 30-minute Iron Man match for the Knockouts title between Deonna Purrazzo and Jordynne Grace, which is a good match. It was a good match. I honestly preferred the match they had at Slammiversary, but this was still a good match. I liked the match a good amount. Then this past Tuesday was NXT Super Tuesday, where they had a Fatal 4-Way 60-minute Iron Man match with Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Adam Cole, Finn Balor, which I thought, story-wise, was an incredible story told. Because and if you haven't seen it, I'm going into spoilers, so you're going to be spoiled. So for about almost the first 30 minutes of that match, nobody gets pinned. They're trying everything they can. Finn Balor ends up getting the first pin of the match, pinning Adam Cole. Okay, Balor's got the first fall. Then there's a pattern that goes on. And I caught this during the match. I don't normally do this with wrestling. Like, I do not catch patterns during matches, if there is any. But this one I did. So, Ciampa hits the fairy tale ending DDT on Balor. Johnny Gargano attacks Ciampa, gets him out of there, and Gargano gets the pin. So Gargano has pinned Balor. Then, a few minutes later, Adam Cole pins Johnny Gargano. I'm like, okay, now I see the pattern. Because Balor... Okay, so after Balor gets the first fall, Gargano pins Balor. Cole pins Gargano. Ciampa gets on the board by pinning Adam Cole. Okay, I like this. I actually like this. And then, in my mind, because my mind is actually being creative at 9:40 something on a Tuesday night when I have to go and work virtually with kids the next day, I'm thinking, ooh, what if the next fall happens, Ciampa's not pinned, and say, like, whoever wins the match wins the title, and then Ciampa could make an argument of, I was never beat. Everybody else in this match was beat. So I'm thinking, oh my God, that would be the best way to go with this match. It really would. But I didn't get that ending, which I'm okay with. So we get to the end. It ends up being Gargano and Ciampa towards the end. And Gargano does a move that basically takes Ciampa out of the match. Balor comes in, hits the coup de grace, double stomp. He pins Ciampa. I'm sorry, I got it the other way around. Gargano was the one that was taken out. Ciampa got hit with the coup de grace. Balor pins Ciampa. 1, 2, 3. Okay, Balor's got the lead. There's less than a minute to go. Then Adam Cole comes from behind, hits the last shot, just gets the 3 count in before the time runs out. So we've gone to 60 minutes. It's a very good match. I enjoyed this match. I'm going to look up what Meltzer rated that match in a minute, if he did. So I'm like, okay, this was a good match. I enjoyed the match for the most part. And then there's the end of the show, where William Regal's like, and again, and this isn't Regal's fault. You know, he's a character on the show. He has to do what he's told. Cole, Balor, you're going to face each other next Tuesday for the NXT title. I'm like, you suck. I was like, give us overtime. I could do overtime. Let's go. I'm like, oh, you guys suck so bad. And then I was like, well, I'm watching Impact next week. Forget it. I'm not sticking around for NXT just to see one match, you know, to crown a new champion. I'm sure it's going to be a good match. Balor and Adam Cole. I'm sure that's going to be a good match. But I'm like, damn, I missed the second hour of Impact. I missed the finale of Wrestle House. I miss Eric Young winning the world title just to see the Iron Man match. And then you pull the, oh, it's a cliffhanger. It's a to be continued next week. I'm like, you suck. Oh, my gosh. So, yeah, you know, it was, in a way, sort of a classic WWE kind of thing where it's like, oh, well, we got him here. They did the match. It was really good. And they're going to face, you know, we're going to have a tie and they're going to face each other on the next show to crown a new champion. Oh, man. Oh, it was, I mean, I wasn't mad to the point where I was like, oh, I'm never going to watch it again, but yeah. Meltzer gave us 3 3/4 stars. I'd go about 4 if I had to do the star rating. I'd do 4 stars. I'm not going to be, you know, that hypocritical, but okay. So here's my problem with the 2 Iron Man matches. And I want to say this on the record. Impact Wrestling could not do what I am suggesting because I don't think they have the capability to do this yet. Maybe in the future, if they ever decide to do another Iron Man match, or if they have a long match, you know, on their regular show, maybe they could do this. I'm not really sure. WWE, on the other hand, did it for a little bit, and then there were other times where they didn't do it. So here is my big problem. This was my problem with both Iron Man matches. We didn't get to see the entire match. Now, what I mean by that is we didn't get the split screen. Obviously, we didn't get it with Impact, where they're airing the commercial and you could see the match. Impact does not have that capability right now. But, or maybe even Access might not have the capability to do that. I'm not sure. But WWE sure as hell has the capability of doing the split screen where you can see the match and the commercial going on at the same time. So you mean to tell me that WWE on a Tuesday night with an Iron Man match where you're going to crown a new champion, well, allegedly crown a new champion, you don't decide to do the split screen for every commercial break? That's my problem. Because you have the capability. You have the ability to do it. You're WWE. If USA Network gets ticked off about it, just say, look, we'll pay you for the missed times on the commercials. You know, just give us this 1 week. Because USA Network, as we have learned in the past, cannot survive without WWE. It is a fact. Like, when WWE left them in 2000, USA Network's ratings went down the toilet. It wasn't until WWE came back 5 years later that USA Network was able to regain their power as one of the top cable networks. But you're WWE. You have this ability. I'm not saying do it for every match. I'm saying for something like an Iron Man match, or say like a 2 out of 3 falls match, you have the capability. You have the power. I know, I'm starting to sound like, you know, I'm describing the $6 Million Man. You have the capability to do a split screen. Show the commercial, show the match. You have the ability to do that. Don't know why they didn't do it. Makes no sense whatsoever. I wish they had done it. Probably would have gotten a little bit of a better review of the match. But they didn't do it, so we just got to live with it. That was my only complaint. That was my only complaint about the Iron Man matches. I would like to see Access TV and Impact Wrestling invest in that. Although, to be fair, the only time they really cut to a break during a match is if it's the main event, which I'm okay with. So, but what am I? I'm just a wrestling fan, you know. I'm just me. All right. Let's talk about WWE Payback. Yes, that was a show Sunday night. And Fro kept his word, ladies and gentlemen. He did not watch the show with me. As a matter of fact, nobody watched the show with me. I wasn't around my usual my usual group of friends, when we watch these pay-per-views. Nobody watched it but me. I feel like I'm the only person among my friends that saw this show Sunday night. And I just barely did a Patreon review of this show after it ended. I was like, do I really want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I gotta do it. Just get it over with. Oh, man. So, back in the Thunderdome. Nothing offensive on this show, as far as Thunderdome participants go. Monday night, if you caught it briefly, we had for the second week in a row a guy in a KKK outfit. So, yeah, good job, WWE, of blocking the Ku Klux Klan. All right. So, we had a pre-show match. Riott Squad against the Iconics. I like the Iconics. God, this match was bad. Oh, this was such a bad match. Because the story in the match is Billy and Peyton are trying to convince Liv that Ruby Riott is against her. They shouldn't be a team. They shouldn't be together. And at one point, Liv Morgan starts to walk. She's starting to walk out. But then decides to come back and, be in the match. And the match, this is a hot mess of a match. Oh, God. I'd like to forget that this existed. But unfortunately, I have to finish this review of the match. Double team move by Riott Squad gets the win. God have mercy on my soul for what I saw there. And I like the Iconics. I like Ruby Riott. I actually kind of like Liv Morgan. I like, some of her moves. This just did not gel at all. I gave this match a D-. Oh my God, this was a bad match. And I'm thinking to myself, great, I am in for a long night of terrible matches. Meltzer gave this a 1.5 stars. CBS Sports, ESPN, I think ESPN's just decided to stop doing grades after Fro and I have torn them apart for the last 2 years. CBS Sports was way kind. They gave them a C. This match was not a C grade. I'm sorry. It just was not. Now, the match they had the next night on Raw was a wee bit better because there was something on the line. Winning team would get a title shot. The losing team would have to disband. The Iconics disbanded. And looks like they're going to start pushing Payne and Royce there. Should be pretty fun. Okay, so now we go to the main pay-per-view, and we start with Apollo Crews defending the U.S. title against Bobby Lashley. And I gotta say, this wasn't a bad match. This was a decent match. I liked the fact that MVP and Shonen Benjamin didn't really interfere in the match. The only time, that they quote-unquote interfered was early in the match. Crews was going to the outside. Lashley was on the floor. So MVP and Sheldon, they just got up. Like, Lashley's on the other side of the ring. Cruz is over here by the steps. Hurt Business is just in front of them. And they really don't do anything. They don't get involved. They don't physically get involved, which I liked. A decent back and forth match. Lashley puts on the full Nelson and falls to the floor, or falls to the mat, pardon me, to really get in that submission, which I'd never seen before. Apollo Crews taps out. Lashley wins the United States title, which I kind of like, actually. It wasn't much of a surprise, but I kind of liked it. And then post-match, Crews attacked Bobby Lashley, so this is still going to go on. I didn't mind this match, actually. I gave it a C-. Meltzer gave this 2 3/4 stars. CBS Sports, again, being very kind here, maybe too kind, gave this a B. And I also want to point out, for the record, for those that didn't see, your pre-show match had a female referee with all females. Your first match of the pay-per-view had a black referee with 2 black wrestlers. Yeah. Alright. Next match was Big E against Sheamus. There were a lot of people that liked this match. I was not that big of a fan of this match. I don't know why. It just did not click with me. I was like, this is not that good. I mean, I don't know what it is. Sometimes Sheamus on pay-per-view matches doesn't really do it for me. Big E is trying, he's putting in effort into this match. But with Sheamus, I just could not get into this match at all. Big E hit the big ending to get the win. I gave this a D. I did not like this match. I just don't get the love for this match. Maybe I missed something. Because Meltzer gave this 3 1/4 stars. CBS Sports gave it a B+. Yeah, I definitely missed something with this match. I don't know what it is. Next match, King Corbin against Matt Riddle. This was an okay match. Obviously, they're testing the waters. This is going to go on for a while, even after the match. Riddle looked good in this match, and Corbin kind of looked good in this match as well. Matt Riddle got the win with the floating bro, so we are going to start seeing a theme here. I'll see if you guys catch it. I gave it a D+. I don't know what it was. This was an okay match. I wasn't too thrilled about it, but it was an okay match. So I gave it a D+. Meltzer gave this 2 3/4 stars. CBS gave it a B+. What the world is going on? Okay, so now we go to this next match. It is the women's tag team title match. Sasha Banks and Bayley defending against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. This is where, for me, a little bit of momentum changes for this pay-per-view. Because I'm like, oh man, this is not going to be good. This match is actually a good match. And it tells a good story. Because obviously, Shayna and Nia cannot get along. And Bayley and Sasha, they're the tag team experts. They double team. And they use, to their advantage. So when one is injured, they they cut off half the ring, which I thought told a really good story. They did it with Nia Jax with the leg. They did it with Shayna Baszler and the arm. It was just really, really good stuff. And at one point, and this was sort of a funny spot, Nia goes for a power bomb, and Sasha, pardon me. Sasha reverses it into an X Factor. And Nia, you could hear her go, "Oh, my nose! Oh, my nose!" And I'm thinking like, oh crap, it's broken. But no, it wasn't. She was fine. I love the end of the match. Loved the end of the match. This was one of the most creative endings to a match I think I've ever seen. Shayna Baszler, legal woman in the ring. She and Bayley are the legal women. Sasha is in the middle of the ring. She's caught. So Shayna has Sasha set sort of in a position of a Muda lock. And Bayley, she's staggering, goes over, and she gets put in the Karafuda clutch. So Shayna's got them both locked. Shayna then falls backwards onto the mat. So she's got, at the same time, the Karafuda clutch and a version of the Muda lock, a death lock, So then Sasha is trying to fight off Shayna to get her to break the move. And what Shayna does is she takes Sasha's arm and she puts it around Bayley's throat on the Karafuda clutch. So it goes from Shayna's arm to Sasha's arm that's choking out Bayley. And Bayley taps out. Oh my God, what an incredible ending. I loved the ending. This was actually a much better match than I thought it would be, and probably had every right to be. I gave this a C+. Meltzer gave it 3 stars. CBS Sports gave it an A-. So the debate on what the match of the night is, it could go many ways. So the next match is Keith Lee against Randy Orton. So during the match, Orton gives Keith Lee 3 of the hardest chops I think I've ever heard in my life. Those were freaking missiles that were launched when Orton chopped at Keith Lee. And Keith Lee was like, no, not at all. And I'm like, oh my God, those chops. It's a decent match. Orton goes for the RKO at the end, but Lee reverses it into the Spirit Bomb. Keith Lee wins clean in the ring. I was happy about it, but at the same time I was a little surprised because of the length of the match. It was like not under 10 minutes. I gave this a C. Meltzer gave it 2.25 stars. CBS Sports gave it a B. Now, the next match is Rey and Dominic Mysterio against Seth Rollins and Murphy. This match, my God, is the match of the show for me. This was an incredible tag. I'm not saying it's the match of the year. But damn, what a good tag team match this was. They told an amazing story. And Dominic, let's give this young man credit. He's 23 years old. He's only had, at this point, under 5 professional wrestling matches, or at least 5 WWE matches. He's getting better. He's getting better. I'm not saying he was, the star of the match, but he's getting better. My God, you watch the match he had at SummerSlam and the next night on Raw. You put those 2 matches together and compare them to the match he had at Payback. My God, it's like the kid changed in 6 days. And he looked so good in the ring. He looked crisp in the ring. It was incredible. He looked good. Everybody looked really good in this match. And then it also told a good story because, again, the heel team is cutting the ring off in half, and then you get the ending of the match. Seth tags Murphy. He's telling him, I'm going to do the buckle bomb. You're going to kick him in the head, and then we're going to finish him off. Dominic reverses the buckle bomb. Seth goes into the corner. Murphy kicks him in the head, and then Rollins gets sent out to the floor. Murphy gets hit with a 619, and then a frog splash. 1, 2, 3. Dominic and Ray win the match. Dominic got the pin in the match. This was really good. I loved this match. It was enjoyable to watch. I know it's early, but I'm starting to become a fan of Dominic Mysterio. I think he will get better. He's going to get better in the ring. But my God, he was so good in this match. Everyone was good in this match. I really enjoyed it. This was the match of the show for me. I gave it a B. Meltzer gave it 3.5 stars. CBS Sports gave it a B+. So it was a very well done match. Now, unfortunately, we found out the next day on Raw that Ray tore his tricep. Excuse me. So he's going to be out of action for the next few weeks. But boy, what an opportunity for Dominic to have here. And he just looked really good, and I think he's going to get better as time goes along. All right, so now we go to the main event of this pay-per-view. It is a triple threat match for the Universal title. Bray Wyatt, the champion, defending against Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. Now, Roman Reigns is now a client of Paul Heyman, which at first I was like, okay, this is really good. But then I start to have second thoughts of, wait a minute, is he using him as a decoy, as a trick or something? But it ended up not being the case. So, going into the show, the story of the match is Roman Reigns is in the building. He will compete in the triple threat match, but he's got to have a couple of words changed into the contract, and then he'll compete. So, for about the first 8+ minutes of the match, it's Bray and Braun. This is a no-holds-barred match, so they fight all around. They go, I think it was Braun that went through the table. Yeah, went through the announcer's table. They go up to the stage, and they both take a 2-foot drop through another table. And then we got to talk about the highlight of this match. So Braun Strowman goes up, he's climbing the ropes. Looks like he's going to do like a dive or something. Bray catches him. He's got him caught. So Bray hits a superplex with Braun on the ring. Well, the ring breaks. Charles Robinson, the referee for this match, sells the crap out of going out of the ring. He did a Charlie Brown flip. And for those that don't know what I mean, if you've ever watched Charlie Brown cartoons or even read the comics, when Charlie Brown is on the pitching mound and the batter hits the ball always goes past Charlie Brown. It goes right through him, and Charlie Brown does this 360 flip, losing all of his clothes. Charles Robinson did a Charlie Brown flip out to the floor. It was absolutely hilarious. I hope Botchamania uses Charlie Brown clips on the next one for when Charles Robinson, or they show Charles Robinson going out of the ring. So everyone's down. Now Roman Reigns comes out with Paul Heyman and the contract. Signs the contract. Roman Reigns now is in. The match is going on. So Roman Reigns goes for a pin. There's no referee. Referee comes running down. 1, 2. Wyatt kicks out. Tries Strowman. 1, 2. Kicks out. Then the Fiend gets up, puts the mandible claw on the Roman Reigns. Well, Roman Reigns kicks the Fiend low. So Fiend goes out, and then Roman Reigns does this backwards fall, which could have almost been as good as the Charles Robinson fall had we caught it in its entirety. So then Roman gets back in the ring, hits Braun about 4 or 5 times with the steel chair, hits him with a spear. 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns, the new Universal Champion. And I think heel Roman Reigns is going to win a lot of people over. I really do. As far as the match goes, I gave this a C+. This was a fun little match. Bray and Braun carry it for the majority of the time. And then the way they booked Roman Reigns was actually pretty good. I did not mind it at all. And it was the right way to go to have Roman be the Universal Champion. So I gave this a C+. Meltzer gave this 2 3/4 stars. And CBS Sports gave it a B-. So CBS Sports, brown-nosing it to WWE, thought of it as a very good show. Meltzer, with the exception of the semi-main event and one other match, was kind of like eh. And you know what? I'm in the eh position here. For the show itself, the first half is forgettable. Oh my God. That first half is so forgettable. I don't ever want to see it again in my life unless I have to. The second half of the show is actually pretty good stuff. 2 very good tag team matches, a fun main event, and a star is born in the second half of the show. If it hadn't been for this second half, this would have been one of the worst shows of the year. But I'm going to give it a C. The second half basically saved this show because the first half of the show and the pre-show sucked so much that I was like, God, if I make it through this pay-per-view, I hope I don't ever have to see it again. But not too bad. Our Facebook group, a little bit more positive than I was with this show. Most people gave it a B grade. Like I said, I gave it a C. One person gave this an A. They must have been in a much better mood than I was. Favorite match from this pay-per-view. Most people went with Keith Lee against Randy Orton, despite it being an under 7-minute match. But you know what? I respect their opinion. Followed by Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax against Bayley and Sasha Banks, which actually was a really good match. And then 3 other matches got a vote. Riott Squad against the Iconics, the Mysterios against Rollins and Murphy, and the main event. My vote goes to the Mysterios against Rollins and Murphy. That was such a fun tag team match. That was really an incredible match. Go out of your way to check it out. Like I said, not necessarily the match of the year, but it's still a very good match to watch. Well, normally, this would be the time where we wrap up the show, or I wrap up the show, but it's not, because now we got to preview another pay-per-view coming up this Saturday night. It is All Out, going to be at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Like I said earlier, I'm really looking forward to this card. This looks like one of the best cards I've seen in a long, long time for a pay-per-view. So there are, in total, 9 matches on the show. One of which is a pre-show match, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on who I think is going to win. So let's take a look at the card. Starting with the pre-show match, Britt Baker makes her in-ring return after being off for a few months with a knee injury. She's going to face Big Swole in what is described as a tooth and nail match. What that is, I have no idea. They did not give any description whatsoever. It's Baker's first match back in a while. I think Britt Baker's going to win this match. I really think she's going to win this match. I feel like she has to at this point. But all right. Next up, Matt Hardy against Sammy Guevara in a Broken Rules match. And a stipulation here, if Matt Hardy loses, he must leave AEW. That's a very interesting stipulation to add into this match. Wow, this one could go either way. I could see either one of these guys winning it. I'm going to say Matt Hardy wins this match. I really don't think Matt's leaving AEW anytime soon. I think he's going to help out some of the younger talent. So I think Matt Hardy's going to win. Tag team action as Jurassic Express faced the Young Bucks, and the way we got to that match was, well, it's real simple. It's these two were part of an 8-man tag team, and the tag team that won would face each other this Saturday night. And guess what? Both these teams, you know, they were the winners in the 8-man tags, so they're going to face each other. I'm going to go with the Young Bucks only because I want to see what happens with the Young Bucks on this pay-per-view, especially with them and Paige and Omega. I want to see where this goes, so I'm going to say the Young Bucks win. Then we have an 8-man tag team match. The Dark Order, Brody Lee, Colt Cabana, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson are going to face Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and the Natural Nightmares, Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall. This is actually one of the matches I'm looking forward to the most, just because of how Brody Lee won the TNT title and how the 4 guys, Cardona, Sky, Dustin, and Marshall, are going to try to get revenge for Cody. I kind of like that storyline here. I'm going with the Dark Order. I see them cheating to find a way to win. So I'm going to go with the Dark Order on this one. Then we have the Casino Battle Royale. Now, the last time we saw this for the men was at Double or Nothing last year. And to give everyone a refresh course, here are the rules of the Casino Battle Royale. We're going to have 21 participants in the match. The 21 participants are going to have 5 cards dealt to them. And there are 5 different cards. You have your clubs, your spades, your diamonds, your hearts. If you happen to draw one of those cards, you will enter at a certain point. However, there is a special card. It's sort of like a Joker card. If you draw that, you are the last person to enter the Casino Battle Royal. The last person remaining at the end of the match is declared the winner and will receive a future AEW World Championship match. The participants as of this recording include Darby Allin, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, Ricky Starks, Pentagon Jr., Ray Phoenix, The Butcher, The Blade, Eddie Kingston, Shawn Spears, Billy, Austin Gunn, Jake Hager, Santana, Ortiz, Chuck Taylor, and Trent. Those are, as of this moment, the participants in the match. So, for the group that is in there, it really, for me, comes down to two people. It comes down to Darby Allin and Lance Archer. Lance Archer is this incredible heel who is really being pushed really good. He's only lost one match, and it was a reasonable match to lose. But Darby Allin is so liked. But he's also got a story with Ricky Starks going on right now. If I had to... Well, I have to pick. I'm predicting here. If I had to pick. I'm going to go... Oh, man. You know, I'm going to go with my... I'm going to go with my original pick that I had in my mind. I'm going to go with Lance Archer. I think Archer's going to win it. I think he's the one that actually might need it the most for this match. Next up, Hikaru Shida will defend the AEW Women's title against Thunder Rosa, who is the current NWA World Women's Champion. This is going to be a phenomenal match. I'm looking forward to this match. Thunder Rosa had a very good debut on Dynamite this week against Serena Deeb. Hikaru Shida has just been one of the best women's wrestlers going on right now. I would have her in my discussion for the Women of the Year when we do our award show early next year. This is going to be a very good match, but I do see Shida keeping the title. I don't see her losing the title. Although, if Thunder Rosa won, it would be a nice surprise. Then we have the AEW Tag Team titles, Kenny Omega and Adam Page against FTR, Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood. Omega and Page have been really good tag team champions, but it's time for them to drop the titles. I think FTR is going to win the match. They're going to win the titles. Basically, what they were brought out here for in the first place was to be the top tag team in AEW, and that is what they're going to do. They're going to win the match. They're going to win the titles. We will have new tag team champions. Then we have Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy in a Mimosa Mayhem match. So, how does a Mimosa Mayhem match work, you wonder? Well, there's 3 ways to win. Pinfall, submission, or throwing your opponent into a tank of mimosa. Now, for those of you wondering what is a mimosa, I'll read it briefly. A mimosa cocktail is composed of champagne or other sparkling wine and chilled citrus juice, usually orange juice unless otherwise specified. Well, it's going to be orange juice for this one. Wow, this is going to be an interesting match. I actually see Jericho winning the match, but after the match, I see him going into the tank. Although Orange will have a very good performance. That's my pick. And then the main event for the AEW World Championship, Jon Moxley defending the AEW World title against MJF. The paradigm shift is banned for this one match. This is the hardest one to pick, because you could go either way and I think it would make sense. Moxley's been a good champion. He's sort of in the Drew McIntyre position where he won the title before. Well, the exception between him and Drew is he won the title before the pandemic. Drew won it when the pandemic was like in its first few weeks. And MJF, or Moxley, pardon me, hasn't really had the kind of title reign that I think a lot of people thought he would have. But he's still been a good champion. MJF, on the other hand, is that special kind of talent. He's that once-in-a-generation talent where he's good on the mic, good in the ring, has the looks, has everything about him to like or to hate him, and he's been such an incredible heel. Neither one of these guys have lost a match this year. Neither one of them have been pinned in a singles match this year. MJF has not been pinned in a singles match since AEW began. So it's a toss-up. Who wins? I think we're going to have a new champion. I think MJF is going to win the AEW title. And I think we're going to see a good lengthy reign for MJF as the AEW World Champion. I think it's going to be a great match. But either way, I'm looking forward to the match. I'm really looking forward to the show this Saturday night. So on that note, going to wrap it up for this week. But before I do, get into the plugs. If you guys have any questions or comments, send an email, wrestlingman@thatwrestlingshow.com. Follow the show on Twitter at WrestlingShow11. Follow the show on Instagram, That Wrestling Show. That's all you got to do. Type that and you're right there. Join the Facebook group. It is That Wrestling Show fan group. You type that in the search bar. Boom! You are right there. Visit our merchandise store, teespring.com/That Wrestling Show podcast. And if you like our content, you're going to like our Patreon content. Patreon.com/That Wrestling Show. We got 3 tiers. $1, $2, and $3. $3 gets you a lot of stuff. So does the 2. Actually, each tier gets you some good quality stuff. But if you want post-show review of pay-per-views hours after it ends, your $3 tier is the tier you want to go to. Alright, this would normally be the time where Fro plugs another digital citizen, but I will do it for him this week, as the title of this week's episode is Brain-Chipped Polar Bear versus Time-Traveling Hannah Montana. They review Bill and Ted Face the Music. I've heard a lot of good stuff about it, so check out their review, and they also discuss the news and TV of the week. Their review of Tough as Nails, a show that Fro really likes. And the rest of the stuff. That's this week on Another Digital Citizen. Check out some friends of ours, our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast with Joe Murata and Michael Quinn. They take you through the world of professional wrestling, retro wrestling, as only they can. This week, they went on a break, but they left us with something very, very fun. Richard Land joined them as they did a live review of WWF Wrestling live from Madison Square Garden, September 21st, 1987, headlined by Hulk Hogan defending the WWF title against the One-Man Gang and the Honky Tonk Man in a non-title match against the Macho Man, Randy Savage. And sometime very soon, a little birdie told me this, if you sign up for their Patreon, this is the only other show that I will plug their Patreon for. If you sign up to their Patreon, if you sign up for their $5 tier, sometime real soon, their review of the 1991 Royal Rumble is coming up. So you might want to check that out. Our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast. Now, if you like your podcasts hosted by one individual, check out Greetings from Allentown with PW Peter Winston. He watches one episode of wrestling each week in his own unique perspective. This week, he reviews an episode of Wrestling Challenge from May 13th, 1990, and I have to read to you guys the first sentence in the description of the episode, maybe the single greatest sentence of description ever. In an effort to stop seeing an annoying thumbnail on YouTube, this week is a look at WWF Wrestling Challenge from May 13th, 1990. Oh, God, what a great description of that episode. So check it out. Greetings from Allentown. Also, he does GFA Live, which is really fun to listen to. He and his pal Keithy, as of late, they've been watching the best of the WWF video series from Coliseum Video. They've been just going randomly around. They will, I think they said volume 14 sometime real soon is what they're going to be watching. So check that out. Greetings from Allentown. Also check out Juice Pro Wrestling. This week they have wrestler commentator Percy Davis dropping in to Juice Pro Wrestling. He discusses the 2020 Collective, indie wrestling, also commentating for Black Label Pro, and so much more. That is Juice Pro Wrestling. Now, if you're looking for non-wrestling related podcasts, check out Unspooled with Paul and Amy. This season, they are going to watch 100 different movies, and their goal, ultimately, is to take all 100 of these movies and have it shot into outer space so aliens can watch these movies and see what Earth is really like. This week, they discussed the 1959 French New Wave drama, The 400 Blows. Okay, I've never heard of that, and I don't know if I'm ever going to see it, so check it out. Also, check out The Castle Vault. It is a chronological dive of Disney animated films powered by Disney+. Two men watch each and every Walt Disney animated movie that is in the Disney Vault or on Disney Plus in order. This week, they discuss The Emperor's New Groove. It's actually a pretty good movie. I have seen it. It still holds up. It is very good. Yesterday, I started watching Fantasia, but I had to stop because we were getting really, really bad weather. So I'm probably going to try to finish that this weekend and then listen to their review of Fantasia and see if I like doing that or doing it the other way, which is listening to the podcast first, then watching the movie. Also, check out Last Stop Penn Station with Carrie Silken and Ian Riccaboni. This week, Carrie asks the question, is that John Belushi? Well, you have to tune in to hear the stories on Last Stop Penn Station. And this Sunday, it is our finale of the summer series with myself and Jim Boy Star. Rowdy Ross joins us as we review Invasion from 2001. Yes, we are reviewing Invasion while WWE is doing an Invasion angle of their own that is hit or miss. Alright, next week on the show, maybe Pharrell will be back with us, and if he is, we're going to review AEW All Out, and even if he isn't, we're going to review AEW All Out. Plus, we're going to talk about wrestling news and a whole lot more. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to this week's episode of That Wrestling Show, the podcast where all pro wrestling matters. Have a safe Labor Day weekend, and until next time, as always, wrestle on!